Hi. So, I guess without me even knowing it, I have been using imagery for years to disassociate myself from stress and other factors that affect your mind and then also affect your body, especially going onto the court. I played basketball all through high school. Um, and I was very competitive. I was an all league selection. I was supposed to play in college. It's long drawn out, but the stresses that myself and my classmates always had, we grew up in a very diverse area. It was a very challenging area. It was rough. And so we had a third grade teacher, and her name was Miss Schindler. And her wife taught us how to relax through imagery at the end of school. And we never really thought much of it. We always thought it was weird until we did get to high school and we all kind of thought back and started using it together. Pre-practice, after school, before games. And I still use it to this day. I also use soothing things and do things around the house that give me a calmer environment that help me in this relaxation technique that I'm going to go over. As you can see, the moon, this is actually on the wall behind my bed. And I had a friend who's a tattoo and graffiti artist actually do it with graffiti art. And I can actually see it in the mirror in my bathroom. It reflects. So it's something that calms me at night and it makes me feel like I'm outdoors and I'm surrounded by nature instead of it being just a painted wall or a picture of nature. It looks like the actual moon over some mountains and some water in my bedroom. And it's the most amazing place in my house. And everybody loves this thing that I've had here for 12 years in my home, and I can never cover it up. So something that I learned, we would lay on our backs at 8 years old, and these women would walk around us and they would darken the rooms. They would have us lay on the ground in the center. We'd push our desks back and we'd have our arms out at our sides, close our eyes, see the back of our eyelids facing the ceiling. And they would have us relax and inhale all the problems from the day and exhale them out and force them back out into the world. So we would do that. Whatever problem we had during the day, we'd take all of the energy, all of the stress that it gave us and had it affect us mind and body, and we would inhale it. And as we'd inhale, all the power would get in us, and then we'd exhale and let it go. And after the third breath, we forgot it even happened. That's how relaxed we were and silent we were. And then they would start with our bodies. And it's something that transformed our bodies from wherever we were at school, the tiredness of it. And we would be re-energized to go to practice, to go home. We would forget everything from the day, and we would lay on our backs, and they would say, relax your toes. Relax the balls of your feet. Now relax your foot arch onto the heels of your feet. And they would continue with each muscle and bone up our legs, up our thighs, up our backs, up our stomachs, through our necks, and then into the fingers. And you would feel all of a sudden the top of your body would be you almost didn't feel it. You were that relaxed. And so you'd continue, and they'd start with your fingertips out at your sides, and they would go from joint to joint all the way into your head. And by the time it got to your head, you're almost, falling asleep. You're disconnected. And it was an amazing tactic that had us disconnect, of course, from all the trouble that we had and refocus on absolutely nothing. So it would clear your mind, and then we would reset, and then they would start over and say, what kind of day are you going to have the rest of the day? Imagine your dinner. So we would take that, us as athletes now in high school, taking something we learned at 8 years old, and we would then tell ourselves, what kind of practice are we going to have? What kind of friendships are we going to have on the team? What kind of mentality are we going to have on the court? How are we going to treat each other on the court? And we would go through each of these motions and each of these sayings, and we'd either have a coach or a team captain, who was myself or another girlfriend of mine, and we would go over these questions and walk around each other. And even proctoring it actually takes you into the same mode as you're teaching, because you're thinking what they're thinking. You're as one, you're a team, you're whole. And relaxing the body and breathing out the problems completely clear, you start over with the next task at hand. So you're completely anointed of everything that happened throughout the day, everything that happened at home, in the neighborhood, with your families. A lot of us came from single parent homes, the stressor of that. So me now being a single mom and having different stressors, I use it now, and even if I'm going to go out and shoot around or whatever I'm going to do with my children, I still take the time to sit and relax and refocus. So when you're imagining your next task at hand, you're going to imagine, say, I'm doing basketball for the Yukon girls basketball team. I'll reimagine what kind of practice they're going to have, because that would lead them to how to refocus during a game. And I hope that they would take those tools and then use them for game time. Even though it's a calming mechanism, it's a mental refocus, and that mental refocus gets your body in tune, and then you can motivate physically before you get on the court. So we would have them, of course, refocus. What's your goal of the game? What kind of, practice are we going to have to get us to that winning point in the game? And from, practicing what you say in a practice, you transform all that. What kind of practice do we have? Okay, what kind of game are we going to have now? How are we going to treat the referees if there's a bad call? You can even go into that if you have that kind of tension. And some athletes, competitive. We don't like being told no. So it's very effective to get in a mindset pregame and plan, so that when the time comes, you know how to react. You know what you told yourself. So you can go ahead and focus on that. So those are my methods of relaxing, shutting out the outside world, and preparing for the game in order to be successful in the game. And for my Yukon girls basketball team, this is going to be most effective, and making sure, especially, teenage girls in their early 20s, making sure that they're able to focus at the task at hand and not outside external factors affecting their game.